Hi, my name is Amy Weber. I am a child therapist and parent coach, and I am also the co founder of Speak, Learn, and Play in Brooklyn. This month, we are talking all about awareness. And today, I want to talk about what might be one of the most important and sometimes the most nerve-wracking conversations you will ever have with your child, and that is talking to them about their neurodivergence. Some parents tell me I don't want to say the wrong thing, or, what if they feel bad about themselves? And some ask if they can outsource this conversation to me. The good news is that this does not need to be a one-time, high-pressure sit down like a very special episode of a 90s sitcom. This is a conversation that you are going to come back to again and again, like laundry, but hopefully more joyfully. So, when should you talk about a diagnosis? The best time is before your child hears about it accidentally in a way that's confusing or hurtful. If your child is already noticing they're different, asking questions, or picking up on the language adults use, it's time for the conversation. If about to start new supports, therapies, school accommodations, it's time to have that conversation. If you're nervous they're too young, remember you can always start simply and build with more information over time. So, my concrete tips for the when to talk about a diagnosis are to watch for curiosity cues. Why do I need a helper in class? Those are your golden moments of opportunity. There is no perfect age. So don't wait. Start small, add more details later. And we want to frame it as part of their story as opposed to a medical secret. So, how do we have this conversation in age appropriate terms? This is not the time for a 47-slide PowerPoint presentation on executive functioning. We want to think simple, we want to think concrete, and we want to think relatable. For younger kids, we might use metaphors and analogies. Your brain is like a race car, super fast, but sometimes the brakes take a little longer to work. Keep it about them. You learn best when you can move your body. For teens and tweens, you want to give more detail and invite them into the process. ADHD is one way brains can be wired. It's not bad, it's just different. Let's talk about what it means for you. We want to discuss both the strengths and the challenges honestly. You want to try to use examples from their life. You remember how you can remember every Pokemon, but sometimes forget where your shoes are? That's part of how your brain works. And we want to pair every challenge with a strength. So I'm noticing that this is hard for you, but you also have this other amazing ability. You always want to try to use identity affirming language. Language shapes how kids see themselves. When you talk about their neurodivergence as something to be proud of, they learn pride instead of shame. So instead of, you have autism, but don't worry, we'll help you be normal, say, you're autistic. That's one of the many amazing things about you. It means your brain notices details most people miss. Instead of, your ADHD is a problem, you might say, your ADHD brain has big ideas and lots of energy. Let's figure out how to make that work for you. My concrete tips for this are asking your child what language they like best, autistic versus person with autism, for example. We want to avoid but after strength. You're creative but forgetful. You want to try you're creative and sometimes forgetful. And we want to normalize any supports as tools, not crutches. I use reminders on my phone. You use a visual schedule. Everybody needs help sometimes. Things like that. Repeating the conversation is going to be super important. This is not one big talk. We want to think of this like Netflix. The story has many, multiple episodes. You don't need to explain everything in season one. As they grow, they'll understand more. Your job is to keep the conversation going. It's okay to revisit and reframe as they hit new stages, preschool, middle school, teen years. Reassurance cannot be overdone. You're not broken. You're not less. You are exactly who you are meant to be. So, in doing that, you want to always look for the natural moments. Car rides are a great time to have these conversations. Bedtime chats after reading a book with a neurodivergent character. You always want to try to circle back when you notice they're struggling. Remember how we talked about your sensitivities? That's why this noisy place feels hard. And we want to encourage questions anytime, even if it's the same question 57 times. So, in closing, your child's diagnosis is not a limitation, it's a map. The more they understand it, the better they can navigate life with confidence. And you are their first and best tour guide. If you lead with curiosity, respect, and a little humor, they will learn to see their neurodivergence not as something to hide, but as part of what makes them unique and wonderful. The conversation isn't about giving them a label, it's about giving them language, understanding, and pride. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you soon.